Hi guys, it's World Book Day week, and to celebrate, I thought I would do a reading from one of my books each day this week. So you'll be able to find them all on my Instagram account, on my webpage, which is www.mattbeaton.co.uk. And as always, if you enjoy what you hear and you want to find out more, you can head to my webpage, or you can find all of my books on all good online retailers, or you can go into your local bookstores and ask them, and they will be able to order them through. So first up, I thought we'd start with where it all began with Spyglass and the Cherry Tree. The first book I released, I started writing in about 2015, published in 2017, and it tells a story of Sky Thistle, a young girl who, through one reason or another, finds a hidden spyglass in her grandparents' house, or just outside her grandparents' house, and when she looks through it, she's dragged through to a different world, to a world called Ithilmir. So I'm going to be reading you from chapter 1 this morning to give you an idea of how the story starts. Chapter 1, Sky Thistle. The army of goblins stretched away to the horizon. They were scrambling forwards, climbing over each other in their eagerness to rush the waiting army of men. The frosted grass underfoot was soon turned to mud as their clawed feet churned and kicked away at it. Their quarry was still small on the horizon, but the foul creatures were doing all they could to cover the distance quickly. Waiting for their attack were a vast army of men, fronted by hundreds of mounted cavalry, and backed by thousands more foot soldiers stretching to the rear. Row upon row of men stood to attention beneath banners of every colour and design. Each one was waiting, ready for the command from the tall girl sat proudly in the saddle of her strong war-horse that paced to and fro in front of her soldiers. She was no more than a teenager, and her wiry frame didn't seem strong enough to support the heavy armour that she wore. Long ginger hair flowed from under her helmet and danced in the fierce wind that swirled around the battlefield. Around her, snow started to fall with a softness that seemed alien against the raging noise of the oncoming goblins. Where it settled on the warm hides of the horses, it melted with a soft hiss, but it was starting to settle in drifts against the trees at the edge of the woodland that flanked the battlefield on both sides. The woodlands that were supposed to be their refuge if all went wrong. They were being cut off from their only salvation by the falling weather. Thousands of men at her side. Thousands of men rapidly called to arms from all corners of the empire. How many could she rely on if the fight went south? How many would flock back to the darkness if her plan failed? She knew that she had some good men around her, men that she had fought with for years. For the rest, she knew she could do nothing but hope. The goblins were close. A pallid mist hung above their steaming bodies as they tore through the icy air. The goblins didn't feel the cold, the girl had been told. It was one of the many things that she knew about goblins, information that the village women had passed down to her when she was younger, and raids on the village more common. As she flexed her fingers to take the edge off the chill, she wished she could stay as warm as they were. The enemy were close now, close enough to see the hate in their eyes. She knew it was time. The girl screamed her defiance at the oncoming wave of darkness and allowed her spear to drop into her saddle. Her call to charge echoed through the legions at her command. With a mighty roar, she led the cavalry forward at a gallop. A wall of green rose up as they drew closer, each goblin climbing onto the backs of those in front in a desperate bid to wrench the mounted soldiers from their saddles. The goblin weapons were largely old and worn, but they still looked sharp in the dawn light. From this distance, their clattering cries and unholy screams merged into one incoherent noise. She knew there was only one way this could end. These demons needed sending back to the hell from which they came. The ground vibrated to the pounding of horseshoes hammering into the earth. The girl felt her horse slip on the frozen turf and strain every muscle to keep its balance. Suddenly they were on top of the goblins, and the girl thrust her spear forward and straight through the chest of the first of the enemies to reach her. She cast the spear aside, weighed down by the spiked bodies, and drew her sword. It shone in what little light there was, and she felt the power course through her arms. A goblin came at her from the side. The girl managed to drop her shield in time to take the blow, and she felt the dull throb reverberate through her arm before she removed the goblin's head with a sword. She felt a thud against her calf as a goblin on the ground hacked at her with a blunted blade. She hacked down and rewarded it for its trouble by piercing it with the tip of her blade as it jumped upward, screaming towards her face. Enemy after enemy fell beneath her until, from nowhere, a crossbow bolt smacked into the neck of her horse. She felt it tense and thrash around beneath her, its muscles moving like a sack of thick snakes. With a loud whinny, it fell to the ground, throwing the girl clear at the last minute. She slipped as she tried to scramble to her feet, but that split second was all it took for her enemy to fall upon her. She heard their claws and teeth scratching against her armor before her helmet was pulled from her head. Looking up through her forest of matted red hair, the girl saw two pools of emerald green punctuated by deepest darkness. She saw the eyes blink slowly and the head pull back from hers. She saw the goblin raise a rusty sickle high above its head before bringing it swinging down towards her neck. The blow never came. Okay, so that's just part of chapter 1. If you like what you heard and you want to read more, or you want to find out more, then you can head to my webpage at www.mattbeaton.co.uk, or you can head to Amazon or any online retailer, or you can go into your local bookstore and ask them to order you a copy. Fantastic, thank you, and look out for the next instalment from another book tomorrow.